We're on, Bob. Okay.
Four walls and not a prison maker, iron bars a cage. I was the keeper of my own prison.
We're telling society, okay, jails are good, but while you have us locked up, please unlock our minds.
Because I refused to share the hurt and shame inside. No hope restored has freed me totally.
These are individuals who the only way they know how to reach out is with violence and rage. Violence is basically a form of empowerment, a form of intimidating to get what one wants. We need to realize that this behavior can be changed.
This is remodeling their thinking that they have to go according to a game plan, not by themselves, not outside the line of society, but within society. And that's basically why they come out here every day at 6 o'clock in the morning for 2.5 hours addressing cadence. It is so important for them to realize that as one individual, they have to follow a group. They cannot do it on their own because they'll wind up in jail.
Your ego will tell you that this is, you've got to watch everybody, just like this gentleman need to watch me. You're going to, in the face of your fears, either choose to love or choose to fear. Now, what we know, the most frightened person in the world is the person who acts out the most. The most frightened person in the world is the man that you meet on I-95 who's screaming and shouting and wants to kill you because he thinks you just deliberately pulled over on him. What you're finding out is that fear comes out of your reactive mind. If you're here, y'all want to live. Because I guarantee you that every one of you in here had many opportunities to die if you decide to take them. So if you're already here, what that says is you're here because you wanted to live. When we were children, you needed two things. You needed your parents and you needed love. Because, or someone who loved you. Someone who loved you enough to feed you, clothe you, and keep you warm.
Love is a very scary experience for someone who's used to hate, who's used to a misconception of a lack of self-worth. The Hope Restored program is based on love.
But I'm going to tell you what your brother said. He said that in Hope Restored, he learned how to love.
Courage is the #1 tool that one uses to address recovery, to stand up in the front of men and admit that they're a failure, that they're irresponsible. Thus, with the courage and the information that we provide them, they can address recovery.
We trying to save lives in here. So if you want to play baseball, hit the dough. Hit the dough. This ain't about baseball. This is about saving lives.
What is Hope Restored about? Self-motivation. Getting your lazy butt up every day, every single day. Why? Because if you get up in here, you could get up on the outside and find somebody's job. Same concept.
Ain't nice to be brought in this world. I can sit up here for weeks, maybe months, tell you all the pain I got inside of me, all the wrong I did to people, all the people that tried to give me love, and I neglected it. Command the state!
Did crime, stole cars, did drugs. But my pain mostly today is, it is my son, and I really hurt for him right now. I don't want him to go through the same thing that I'm going through. I need to get out and to be with him. He needs me. He asks for me all the time. He wants to know where his daddy is. And I'm in jail. Because I make some mistakes.
I was out there in the street, running down that drugs. That was my God, that was my life. Up on your left, up on your left to right, your left to right, your left, hey! Up on your left to right.
I came in this jail on the charge of first-degree murder and armed robbery. I'm 18 years old.
Hey! Up on your left to right, your left to right, your left.
A lot of the violence on TV, I tried acting out as a part of that TV person.
Concerned about what our young people are watching on television because it is learned, and you learn from your environment. And I think that that is one of the leading causes of violence amongst young people.
And what you're about to hear are a group of individuals who have gone through a program called Hope Restored. This program was set up for individuals who, because of the severity of their charges, they couldn't go to any other program. That means that their charges were so bad that the other program said, nope, we don't want them. Tell them somewhere else. So where did they send them? To Hope Restored.
First of all, I'm 19 years old. I've been locked up for currently 2.5 years. I have a first-degree murder charge, conspiracy to commit murder, armed robbery, 2 aggravated assaults, and an aggravated battery with a firearm. How you doing, brother? How you doing? Gentlemen, you just shook a dead man's hand, gentlemen. I might be dead in 6 years. You don't know. 250,000 volts going through my body. Because I felt it was all about smoking a little weed, drinking alcohol, because my friends thought it was cool.
51 years old. I've spent more than half of my life in prisons, boys' schools, and reformatories. Currently, I'm faced with 38 armed robberies and kidnappings. Possibly, I'm going to prison to die.
If I can help someone be able to talk about the traumatic situation in their life, just maybe they won't have to spend more than half of their life in prison because of that pain, that hurt, that shame. And that's what fuels me to do the things I do now. I know I can't keep what I've gotten from Hope Restored unless I share it with others.
We're not saying once they're in the program they should go home. 80% of the individuals in that program on October 7th, they're going to prison. But they're going to prison a more enlightened person. They've come back to the human race. They're now a father to their kids, a son to their mom, and a husband to their wives.
I was under the influence of drugs, and the individual that I was firing that day in my business, he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. The tragedy is that 2 of us were so impaired we couldn't drive legally, that alcohol and drugs that day took 2 lives. It took his life and it took my life.
The first victim are the individuals that are in prison and in jail because they were traumatized first. When they trusted and showed love, something negative happened to them that scarred their psychic. Thus they go out and their concept is, if I'm hurting, then someone else has to hurt.
And thank God for this girl I'm married to now, Joy, because she used to tell me, you know, Joey, you can be somebody. You are somebody. Not you could be, but you are. And I would still look in a mirror and I know that she was lying. I knew she was lying because my mother told me I was no good. My grandmother told me, and they were people that raised me.
If they knew how wonderful they were, they wouldn't be sitting there in jail. They haven't got a clue. If we get an opportunity to teach that, to help them understand their thought process, to help them understand that how they feel, their attitudes and their behaviors come directly out of their own thought process, then they have a chance to make a difference for themselves.
It was that pain I was trying to cover up that I didn't know about at first, that I had inside of me. And I was covering it up with drugs, and then I'd get violent by using drugs, and I would hurt someone else because the pain that I had in me. I made an enemy within me.
If we take people who have committed violent acts, who have an anger and rage about them, do not treat that anger and rage and then release them back to the streets, we release the same anger and rage back onto the streets that we took off the streets.
I've seen the population double. I've seen the war on crime, and I've seen the results of it, as has everyone. And very clearly, we have doubled the prison population in a 10-year period, and the crime rate continues to skyrocket.
it just no longer makes any sense to me to send people to prison to sit in the cell and stare off into space and getting increasingly full of anger and rage and think about their next crime. Hope Restored is the kind of program that restores one's hope and gives them a better feeling about themselves and a greater self-esteem.
But for those who graduate from the program, not one out of 105 who are presently in our community has returned to jail.
Today, I can live life on life terms no matter what my future holds. So I'm no longer a part of the problem. I'm a part of the solution.
I've always been running from pain and emotional and responsibilities and from my family. I haven't been able to give them the love that they deserve from me because I didn't have it in me. But through this program and everybody here, I have learned to love myself, and now I can give it to my mom and my sister. I love you very much.
Today I can give you back your son. They can lock me up physically, but they can't lock me up emotionally anymore. I love you guys.
We've invited a victim, someone who, because of someone's addiction, their world was invaded. Their world was ruined.
I made a long list of things I wanted to talk to you about, but I realized from some of the stories I heard that you've probably been through all of them, and maybe you have thought about the victims as well. The only thing is, you're not just taking things from them. You leave something behind, and that's very discouraging to the people you leave it to. It's a sense of frustration and fear, an attitude toward people. But please remember that the people you touch do have to go on. And anger is a very destroying feeling. It just leaves you consumed. And I came here pretty angry, and I'm feeling a little bit better hearing about you and seeing you and knowing that you do want to make a difference. As I said, I can't read it, and I can't talk about it anymore, because I think you've gone past it.
Miss Irene, see, I'm the one who invaded your privacy. I'm the one. You just don't know how I feel right now. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back. I know how you feel, and it hurts me. I just want to apologize to you publicly. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I didn't mean... I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I hope you accept my apology. And no, I would have been sentenced, and I deserved that sentence for the hurt that I caused you. And I'm not trying to make up no excuses for the things that I did. It's just because I had addiction that didn't give me no right to rob or to do anything, things that I did to you. I just want to apologize to you and tell you how sorry I am. Anything that I could do, in my power to take back the things and the hurt that I may have caused you, I'll do it today. But I can't take back the past. So I can only make a better future for me and for you and for the rest of the people here. So from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you.
My mama may be no good. My dad may be a drunk. But I know I'm somebody, because God ain't made no junk. I may seem like a loser, the worst you ever met. But it's God himself who made me. And he ain't finished yet. So you can take your platitudes and all your theories debunked. Because if God made me, I'm somebody. Because God ain't made no junk.
This is your turn to make a difference. We need to get rid of the drugs, the alcohol,